Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk the Walk here on Watchers Network. I am your host, the enlightened, excited Eddie V. Joining me for this discussion is the celestial worker herself, Miss Celeste Roberts.
Hey, life is indeed strange sometimes, don't you find?
Yes. And, of course, we got the sound mind one himself, Mr. Shane Kelley from another Zelda podcast and part of the Boss Rush Writer team, along with Celeste. She's part of another Zelda podcast. Hello, Shane.
Hello. I'm excited for this one. I really am. Love this series. So.
Yes. If of course you see by the title and here is Celeste, we are doing Life is Strange. This is a game from Dontnod and Square Enix. Want to give you guys a trigger warning though. We are going to be talking about death, suicide, insinuated sexual assault, drugs, drinking, natural disasters, depression, bullying, and domestic violence. And like I said, this is from Dontnod and Square Enix. But before we get into everything, this is kind of, I remember having this game on PS3. And I remember I got to part of it and then I stopped because I was just like, I don't know how I feel about this game. And this is before I got into walking simulators and everything. And that was until I kept it on hold. But then when I played Edith, what is it, Celeste?
Edith Finch? What remains of Edith Finch?
Yes, once I played that, I understood the genre. It was just like, okay, now I understand this game because it was a mixture of heavy rain in a sense, but not with quick time events, and what we made of Edith Finch with the slow pace, story driven narrative where you couldn't really make a mistake and get a game over. You really just like you have to redo some of your decisions, or you have to stick with the choices that you made. So that's what I remember about this game.
So Ed, did you play Heavy Rain first before you played Life is Strange?
I have played Heavy Rain. When I got my PS3, Heavy Rain was one of the four games that I got, and I love Heavy Rain. I played some old Quantum Dream games, but Heavy Rain, I put the controller down, and I got the best ending, but I put the controller down. It was just quiet for good 10 minutes because I've never experienced anything like that. I was into the story. I was feeling for the characters. And I think playing Life is Strange is just like you want to do the right thing, but the right thing may not always be the right choice. And we're going to talk about it when we get in. Shane, how did you come about Life is Strange?
Well, I think I actually was on YouTube and I was listening to music from the Life is Strange series, and it was after all 5 episodes had come out, and I bought Life is Strange on my PS4, a physical copy. It's still in plastic because not even a month later it came for free on the PlayStation Plus. So I own the copy, so that's good. But I ended up playing it on there, and I immediately was addicted. Like it reminded me of Heavy Rain, especially towards the end, how it just unravels. But man, I felt compelled to play it. I think that time in my life, it's starting a family and just kind of that stuff all felt right there as I played because it's hard to describe because I used to play all RPGs, but as I'm getting older, it's more story based and emotion based type games that I kind of like as well. So it really, I think I beat it in less than 3 days. It was awesome.
Yes. What about you, Celeste? How did you come about Life is Strange?
I think I want to blame Shane here. In a
Aw.
good way. I think it's his fault that I found out about the series because I would see Shane tweet about it on Twitter, whether he was talking about it or interacting with other people who enjoyed the series. And Eddie and I had started Talk the Walk in 2020, and we were just talking about the different games we wanted to cover. And I think Shane suggested Life is Strange, or maybe Eddie did as well. So I finally played it for the first time last year on the PlayStation 4. And I love games where you get to walk around and explore, but I
Mhm.
also really love games where you get to make decisions. And I especially love it whenever those decisions really can affect the outcomes instead of just, oh, it doesn't really matter. Like in some games, it's kind of a cheap way out where, oh,
Yeah.
well, I guess it doesn't matter which one I select.
Yes. So, just to give everybody heads up, we are going to be talking about Before the Storm, but that's going to come at a later time. So, if you are not part of our Patreon for Boss Rush, you might want to sign up. You you'll get that experience a little bit early, and be able to hear that special discussion. And we are going to be covering Life is Strange 2 in the future and Life is Strange 3 True Colors. Now I'm going to let everybody know I have not played True Colors yet, but I have time. I'm going to get into it. I heard a lot of great things about it, and I'm ready to jump in, which is a contrast to Life is Strange 1 and 2 in a sense. But we'll discuss that when we get to Life is Strange 3 in a sense. Um, but I got a question for you guys. Would you rewind time to change the outcome of different events in your life? Celeste, you brought us this question. So I need to know, would you rewind time?
I've been trying for these Talk the Walk episodes, I've been trying to find like an opener, an icebreaker, so to speak, related to the games that we discuss. And so I came up with this question, and this is a very hard question to answer because it's kind of like a monkey's paw incident. If you've read that short story where be careful what you wish for, be careful of the consequences of your actions.
Mm,
If I could rewind time knowing what I know, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, sure, I would love to maybe have the ability to let a loved one know, hey, maybe I'm going to rewind time so that they're diagnosed sooner with a disease so that it can be knocked out. Maybe they can extend their life. That would be pretty cool. But at the same time, as we see in the game with a certain event,
mhm.
the road to hell is paved with good intentions, and something you're not prepared for can happen as well, something maybe worse. So, I don't think I would, to be honest with you. I don't think I would change anything in my life because everything that I have experienced has shaped who I am today and has helped me to feel more confident, has helped me to see life a different way.
What about you, Shay?
Well, I've thought about this. In the back of my mind, I don't really wouldn't want to use it. I love my life. My family. Who knows? If I changed time, would I be part of Boss Rush? Would I've met you guys? Would I've, doing this podcast right now? I don't know, but I think it would be cool because since Zelda Ocarina of Time is my favorite game, I would probably go back so I could replay it without knowing anything about it, and I think that would be really cool. That would be just nothing that would shake the timeline of the world, but something that I could then play again, and then if I wanted to go back, I could go back. I don't know. It's just something simple. Yeah, there's events and stuff that have happened in my life that yeah, I probably would like to change, but who knows what would happen because of that. So
Yeah. For me, I would rewind time for parts of it. I would rewind the time, the passing of my father, like how all of that went down. And I would kind of rewind the time with the person that I told them that I couldn't be with them for a reason. I think I would have jumped into that relationship.
Mm.
But then I probably would have saved it with you, Kelly, with Shay. I probably would have known what Boss Rush is. I probably would have met Corey. I would have
Hmm.
met you guys, Jesse, Laurent, like the whole crew have a community. I probably wouldn't have the stuff that I have now if I did say that because I kind of see what happens with that person being with somebody else and good for them. That's what I wanted for them. But I kind of wonder what if that was me instead? Would our lives be different? Would Boss Rush probably would still happen, but who would have been? I probably in the back of my mind would have been like, who would be Corey's best man or not best man, best friend, helping them make Boss Rush?
I think Best
Going through
Man
the ups
also
and downs.
fits.
I do too. I
Yeah.
agree.
Yes. So, um, but let's get a little bit into about this game. Life is Strange is a series of primarily episodic graphic adventure games published by Square Enix European subsidiary. Created by Dontnod Entertainment, the series debuted with the eponymous first installment, which releases episodically in 5 chapters across 2015. Additionally, a remastered collection of the original game was released in February 2022. Development of the game began in April 2013. It was formed with the episodic format in mind for reasons both financial and creative. The developers conducted field research on the setting by traveling to the Pacific Northwest and subverted known archetypes to make the characters. Player feedback influenced the adjustment made to the episodes. Story and character arc serve as a central point in the game. It is available on Android, iOS, Google Stadia, Linux, Microsoft Windows, OS X, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, Xbox 360, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch. And like we mentioned, Series X and PlayStation 4. I mean, or Series X also has one um, for the backwards compatibility with it. The game was released in January 30th, 2015. The setting is the United States Pacific Northwest, fictional Arcadia Bay, or kind of based off Garibaldi or Oregon, I
Hmm.
believe.
Hmm.
Um, just to get you guys additional heads up, we covered one of their games, which is Tell Me Why,
Hmm.
that we covered for Pride, for Talk the Walk. So you guys could check that episode out. Um, the summary. Do we want to get into the summary?
I,
Okay.
I
So
think so.
the plot focuses on Max Caulfield, an 18-year-old photography student who discovers that she has the ability to rewind time at any moment, leading her every choice to enact the butterfly effect. The player's actions will adjust the narrative as it unfolds and reshapes it once allowed to travel back in time. Fetch quests and making environmental changes represents the forms of puzzle solving in addition to using branching choices for conversation. The characters have to deal with everyday life issues created by their own families and schoolmates, and as you can expect in a typical public high school environment, there is a lot of high school drama, and sometimes teens make bad decisions. Players will be given the opportunity to make choices while playing Max, and each choice will have consequences in gameplay. Her ability to rewind time will impact the game's narrative. There are multiple endings depending on the choices the player makes for Max. The game has a licensed indie soundtrack and hand painted visuals. Um, so uh, we're going to jump into um, the characters before we jump into like the episodes and everything. So Max Clawfield, who is our main character, Max is the surname, and it references Holden Clawfield from The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger, and his personality as a iconic rebel is echoed by Max's spirit of defiance and characterization characterization as an outsider in her community. Max is moving back to Arcadia Bay after living in Seattle, Washington for a few years. And Max, when episode one starts, you see Max waking up and she's in class. After she sees this tornado that is coming toward her. going to her town, and then you're controlling her going, and then you see this deer, and the deer is kind of leading you to where you need to be at. Next thing you know, the game starts. Um, what did you guys think about Maxine or Max? I can actually say, I think when she's more vocal and everything, she feels more alive. But when she's just like, I don't know, I'm kind of scared. When she kind of falls back into this eggshell of hers, it kind of gives me like, come on, Max. I know you're a teen. You got through this far in life. You could be a little bit boisterous. You could be a little bit more out there. Speak your
Hmm.
mind. And it doesn't take to when she actually recognizes certain events and she's able to fix it is when she starts speaking her mind and everything. Shane, what did you think about Max?
So she's a little timid, when it comes to her voice and her I guess her actions. But you can see that develop over the course of the 5 chapters. Um, I think she's very very down to earth, laid back, but also can you know voice her opinion when it needs to be, like Kate Marsh, type stuff, who we'll talk about later. Um, and I think she's also trying to get back into Arcadia Bay, the feel of it, because she's been gone for 5 years. She used to be friends with Chloe, and didn't really, stay in communications with her, especially when Chloe's dad passed away. So I think she's trying to feel out, the academy, the Arcadia Bay, and her relationship status with Chloe as a friend. So
Okay. What about you, Celeste?
Save Max's supernatural powers and her premonitions of the storm heading towards Arcadia Bay. She's really just an average teenager. She's a 12th grade student. She's at this academy called Blackwell Academy that has this cool photography teacher who's a renowned photographer, and that's the reason she's actually back in Arcadia Bay. She's living in the dorms at Blackwell Academy. She just she doesn't like this. I don't mean this rudely. She doesn't like stand out to me
Hmm.
as, like she's not really mean. She's not very preppy. She's just kind of existing, which is fine. Like that's kind of awesome if you can get away with that in high school, that you just kind of go with the flow and get to do your own thing. She's she's not a very dramatic person, I don't find, but
hmm.
she's surrounded by drama. So she kind of reminds me of Link a little bit
Hmm.
in the Zelda series because she is the Link to the story. I mean, yeah, she has her own background, like Link has his own background in the Legend of Zelda series, but she's just she just kind of serves as a device to guide us through the game, I find.
Okay. Um, so Chloe, not Chloe, Max's, class is over. She talks to Mr. Jefferson, who is the teacher um of that you meet, and he's talking to another character named Victoria. Um uh who is where Victoria, she's a personality rich and arrogant. Victoria is a typical snob who boasts about her expensive designer clothes and state-of-the-art electronic equipment for her classes. Max Clawfield frequently feels envy regarding her possessions. Victoria gossips and seems like the stereotypical queen bee figure at Blackwell, which, you know, of course, she's designed that way. And some teen dramas, uh, that is part of the antagonists in the movie. They're the ones that you have to overcome while dealing with your problem. But sometimes they are like the side story to what's actually really going on and everything. Uh, in episode one, once the class is over with, you and you're able to leave a free roam. you're able to listen to some music, which I gotta say, I want to say it's alternative folk in this because it's a lot of guitars, light drums. I mean, it has a sound to it, but it's nothing like heavy rock or anything. It's kind of really easy. Um, but it's not like this music is very like no, it has more of a not pump pop to it, but it's just like it's guitar heavy, but it's just easy, relaxing guitar. Like even the vocals are not even hard and everything. Um, what did you guys kind of think about that with the music that happened at certain events in this and with characters, I should say. Celeste?
I like the music. The soundtrack's awesome. I think it's very evocative of what's going on. It feels like a teenage movie, a teenage drama a little bit with this
Hmm.
maybe undercover or underground, I should say, band playing. And like Shane mentioned, that I think the music is how he even discovered the game.
Yeah. Shay, uh, you want to speak a
I
little bit more about the music?
well, I just really like the tone for it. It's it's not really elevator music, but it's not me. I want to jump around and dance to it, but it makes you feel. I I want to say mellow,
Hmm.
and it almost entrances you to focus on the area you're in, what's happening at that point, and it also makes you want to explore that area and see what's around while you're hearing the music. Um, and I don't know, it's it's good music. It's like I said, it's not anything that I would go to a rock show for, but it's it's really just tranquil to me. So
It's it's acoustic music and I know I said that wrong. Acoustic music in a coffee shop
yeah,
Hmm.
kind of style,
yeah,
if
Hmm.
you
That's a
hear
good
it.
description.
And it's just like it's that singer and it's that guitar and it may have some other things, but it's it really just like you guys said, it really fits the tone and it really fits the mood about where it's going. And plus, with this taking place kind of like in Oregon and that kind of time period, it really makes sense. Like the town is not that busy, so the music complements what the city is all about. I mentioned Jefferson. He's a photographer teacher at Blackwell Academy. As a famous photographer and a widely recognized artist across America, he gained popularity during the 90s. Introduced as the cool and nice teacher who is greatly admired by his students, including Max, he is later revealed to be something else in the game. I'm gonna stop right there when we get to it. But in episode one, when kind of in the beginning, you go into the bathroom. As Max, she wants to kind of cool down, calm down, so she washes her face and she sees this blue butterfly. She goes to get this photo because there's a photo contest that is happening. So she takes a picture of it, and she hears someone enters it, and they start talking to themselves. Which is Nathan Prescott, who is kind of believed to be the villain of the game. Um, he's a student at Blackwell Academy, and the second, well, I won't say secondary. He is an antagonist throughout Life is Strange. He is associated with selling drugs at Blackwell, and it is consistently implied that he is mentally ill and is in therapy. Um, and we hear him and everything, talking, calling himself stupid, acting kind of funny, and then another person comes in, which is kind of our second protagonist, and this is Max's friend, uh, or partner in the game, Chloe Price. Uh, she's the dual dual
Deuter Oh, yeah, Chloe Price is a deuterog deuter deuterogonist. That's a fun word to say,
she's the D word.
Deuteragonist. She's the Deuteragonist of Life is Strange. That's a new word. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's
So
like a
I'm
secondary. It's what you said, a secondary protagonist, so to speak.
I just came up
okay.
with it before the show and I put it in there.
We're gonna let Webster know. The dictionary is gonna be so proud of you.
uh, she was Max's best friend before she moved to Seattle, living with Chloe in their hometown of Arcadia Bay, Oregon. They rekindled their friendship during the events of the game after Max left. Chloe became best friends with Rachel Amber before Rachel went missing, which is part of Before the Storm. So you guys will be able to understand that. She is the daughter of William Price and Joyce Price, and the stepdaughter of David Madison, who also plays a part in this game. Chloe's death may be, I won't say no more after that.
So
I have to
let's
say that.
continue with the bathroom. Let's continue with what's going on in the bathroom.
Yes. So Nathan and Chloe is arguing, and Nathan pulls a gun out on Chloe, and as they're fighting, the gun goes off and it shoots. Nathan shoots Chloe and kills her. Max sees this, says no, and rewinds time, and it's just like wait, what happened? And so, or does she rewind time at that point and wakes up, or does she wake up again?
It activates, like she screams and that triggers.
Yeah, and she ends up back at the desk in Jefferson's room.
So she's answering questions right because she heard Victoria get it. The emotions are still going on. She gets to the bathroom, and at the same time where Chloe's about to get killed, you have to find a hammer. You find a hammer and you break the glass and you hit the fire alarm. This lets Chloe to hit Nathan and escape. So this is the first thing this is the first event that you're supposed to be like, okay, she's changed something that was supposed to happen in the game. But you actually change everything when you answer Mr. Jefferson's question. And that is kind of how everything starts in this game. There are one more character, Kate Marsh, a student at Blackwell Academy and a devout Christian. She has been having trouble coping with the release of a viral video featuring her kissing strangers at a Vortex club party and seems emotionally traumatized. And Max is seemingly good friends with Kate and watches out for her during this rough time. And I mentioned Rachel Amber. Based on information from the Arcadia Bay, Rachel was a popular student who attended Blackwell Academy. She and Chloe Price were both close and dreamed of leaving Arcadia Bay together. However, she suddenly went missing on Monday, April 22nd, 2013, with little to no information about her whereabouts. So, in a sense, and there are posters over there that you kind of find out who Rachel is that she went missing. You kind of find out it was Chloe who posted those pictures around the school. Now, Chloe used to go to Blackwell, but she ended up getting kicked out because she was more of a rebel and everything. And as smart as she is, her life went on a downturn after her dad died. And that's kind of like how Max understands it. Throughout episode 1, you're trying to ask Max to get back into your dorm. You can't because Victoria is, acting snotty with her friends. But Samuel, who is the campus janitor or, kind of maintenance person, he plays a vital part of getting Victoria to move. So you kind of set it up where Victoria gets wet, her friends gets wet, and then you kind of somehow messed around with the paint can, and the game makes it obvious that you're supposed to mess with the can and everything. So you mess with the can at a certain time. Samuel goes up, tries to put the can on, but the handles break, and it gets on Victoria cashmere shirt. So you talk to Victoria, trying to be nice or be mean, because you can laugh at her. And I kind of want to ask you guys, when you started making choices like this on how you wanted Max to be, at that point with Victoria, did you laugh at her or did you feel bad for her? Celeste.
Okay, so I don't know if we talked about how you make choices in the game.
Yes.
There are major choices and then there are minor choices. And this could be a 6-hour long episode if we talked about every single choice. So we're kind of going to focus on the major ones because they really affect the plot big time.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I don't think we mentioned this, Ed, but the first major choice is you can go to Principal Wells. And
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. This game. There's so much going on. You can either let him know what was going on with Nathan in the bathroom, or you can hide the truth. So I reported Nathan. What did y'all do?
I reported Nathan.
I reported Nathan. Oh.
Okay. And for Victoria Chase, okay, when the paint falls on her, like Eddie said, you can either make fun of her or you can comfort her. I comforted her.
I comforted her too.
In my head, I made fun of her, but I comforted her.
Yeah, I kind of want to be like, that's what you get. But yes, I comforted her as well. So, yeah.
They should have had a third choice where you could give her a paper bag to put over her head. And just there.
Wow.
Oh, that's
And-
not nice. But I agree.
So and the reason I asked for this, because sometimes your first choice will be like, okay, I'm going to make this person very moral, make them nice or something. Or if I start off being evil in a sense, I'm as a player is going to keep up that evil streak and see where it goes.
Mhm.
Some things.
Eddie,
Oh, go ahead, Celeste.
I think it's important to mention what happens after you make a major choice. A butterfly, the one that Maxine saw at the beginning, a little butterfly sketch will appear and it'll say, "This action will have consequences."
Yes.
Yep.
So yeah, when you make certain choices, that happens, and be like they will remember this in the future, or this action has consequences for the future, which it does play out. Um, episode 1, uh, you um you end up going to go talk to Warren. I'm going to kind of skip ahead. You go and talk to Warren, and Nathan comes and starts to fight with Warren. Or if you chose to tell the principal, Nathan starts addressing you as Max, and Warren kind of stops to kind of protect you, and they get into a fight. Things are happening. And Chloe shows up. You get in the car with Chloe and you drive off to Chloe's house. You guys have a conversation, blah blah blah, and then you go and meet her house because you realize your camera is destroyed, and now you need to find out, how you fix it, how to get it fixed, and everything. Now, I didn't talk about the stepdad, Madison, because he is kind of like an army vet, and he's been through war. He's seen it all, and he's kind of like the mean person that they want you to believe. But there are things that happen in this game that make you rethink your relationship with him and everything. Because he's very protective of Chloe and uh, Chloe's mom. Um, which actually plays a part kind of like in the third, fourth episode of this. Um,
Have we introduced
but
what he is at Blackwell? I don't know if we explained exactly who
so
David Madsen is at Blackwell.
David Madsen is security
Mhm.
at the place, and um, he kind of wanna. I think he's the one, along with that teacher. They want to install security cameras and everything around different places. What we didn't know is that David is actually, you know, kind of being somewhat a detective, trying to find out what's going on with some things and everything. Because at one point in the first episode, he runs into Kate Marsh, and you can take a picture or you can stop it, and those will have consequences for both characters and everything. And you kind of see why David is acting the way he is towards Kate uh, and everything. So, um, all in all, what did you guys think about the first episode? Because you asked Max reveal your power to Chloe, and then later on, Chloe kind of, I believe this may be in the second episode. Chloe starts to test your powers and stuff, because they're at a diner and everything. Uh, but she's asking Max, "What am I going to say, or what do I have? What
Mhm.
stuff do I have in my pocket?" You guess wrong. You find those items. You rewind time and you tell her what you found in different orders and everything, and you blow her mind. And when that happens, Chloe gets the idea. Maybe you can help me find what happened to Rachel.
Don't they walk to the lighthouse during that scene, right? That's when that takes place. They both go up to the
Mhm.
lighthouse,
Hmm.
and she reveals to Chloe that she has these powers. Um, and Chloe's pretty excited about it, actually. I believe that she has a friend with superpowers. So,
Yes.
and that's the same time that you see the deer, I believe, the doe, as you walk up
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah.
And this is kind of where the whole epicenter of um, the game, I believe, focuses on with this storm that is supposed to be coming
Hmm.
to Arcadia Bay, and also what the sequel before the storm is kind of portraying too. So, um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I really enjoy. Well, the first episode got me hooked already because it's just not something I was used to, and it was a new way to play, almost like Heavy Rain, but just in a to me in the first episode, a lighter tone, uh, and I guess more laid back than Heavy Rain was for me when I started playing that one. So um, I really enjoyed the level, or the whole story for that first chapter. Um, and what's interesting too is as I go along as I play this game, it's kind of interesting the time travel mechanic, how it also relates to the photography. I feel when you're a photographer, you have to like get the right angle, the right light to get that perfect picture. And you as the artist, you determine what you think that angle is, or in what the perfect picture is.
Mm.
So when you're doing time travel and you're doing things to change people's outcomes or story, you're the artist of the time travel because you can pick the perfect scenario for you or whoever you're doing this, change for. So
Mm.
hand in hand, it's kind of like the photography and the time travel kind of the same, as is it's an art almost, as you choose the perfect scenario.
Yes. So, Celeste, what did you think about the first episode?
Oh,
Like the way it sets up.
oh, like Shane said, it hooked me right away, and I was not. The game's a little deceptive because I knew nothing about it going in. I think I knew like, oh, I might get to make choices and decisions in the game that affect the outcome. But when Nathan burst into that bathroom and he's talking to himself, you can kind of tell he's unhinged. And then, well, you don't know it's Chloe at first until a little later.
Yes.
Max doesn't realize
Hmm.
it's Chloe at first. When that woman goes in the room and then he shoots her, I was like, oh, this is a serious game. And they drop some curse words and they talk about drugs and different things. And I'm like, this is not the innocent little Disney movie kind of teenage drama that we're about to get into.
Yes.
It deals with a lot of stuff, and I'm not gonna lie, I can't remember which choices are in which episodes, but with
Mm.
Kate March and David Madsden's confrontation, did that happen in the first episode, or is that because that's a major
Yes.
decision?
Yeah, it happened because you were able to. I think you were heading towards to go meet Warren, so you could tell him about this power. But you see David walk up to Kate and everything,
Yes,
and
Hmm.
yes.
you got that action, and you made that choice. And then the game continues over there because at
That's
that part I took the picture because I wanted to have evidence. I
mhm.
didn't want to interfere or anything.
Yes, so Kate and David are talking, and Kate's very meek. She's very timid, and David he seems very antagonistic. He seems very aggressive while he's talking to her, and there are so many things you don't realize happening at this point in time. So you have the choice between taking the photo, like Eddie said, or you can intervene. I chose to take the photo as well because I wanted photographic evidence that something strange is going on with this adult and he's harassing a minor. To me, that's how I viewed it. What about you, Shane?
Do believe I intervened actually. Um, Again, I wanted to stand up for
Mm-hmm.
in that moment. Maybe I should have took a picture, but I think it's better, I guess, to say something for
Yeah,
me than to let it
Yes.
slide.
I know. I
But
wish you
does
could
it
do
hold up
both.
in court? I don't know.
Does it hold
So
up in court? I wish you could do both. Why can't you take a picture and then intervene?
get the
Yes.
Google glasses, record the
The-
whole thing. So
So the main kind of focus is for this, like the plots of it is finding out what happened to Rachel Adams, finding out what's going on with Kate Marsh, like why she's acting that way. Um, we mentioned drugs, and we kind of find out that not David, but Nathan has been selling drugs or bringing stuff for some of the students at this Vortex party that they're able to have in school. Also, Nathan's family owns the town and the school, so it's kind of that privilege sense for him that yeah, if you try to get me in trouble, nothing's going to happen. And when I find out, I'm going to retaliate against you, which also plays a part into later of some of the phone calls that Max starts getting from an anonymous person. Go ahead, Shanjay.
I was gonna say, and it's also strange to me that Mark Jefferson works for this high school. He has to be getting paid a lot to even stay there if that's the case because he's a famous artist known over the whole U.S. So
Mm,
does the Prescott family pay him to be there? And if so, is this how Nathan connects with him later on? That when you find out what's happening, and does his dad also have something going on with this as well? And I'll kind of explain a little more what's found in a later episode that has me thinking that maybe they know more than they do. So
yes. So we're kind of going to spoil this major point. So we're going to start with Kate. Um, it kind of we talked about the description. Kate was kind of drugged or something happened to her at this Vortex party. But there was a video that was taken that goes online, and because of her Christian faith and everything, in her mind and probably other people's minds, that she's considered as a slut or a whore, in it, and it affects her mentally. And you, as Max, you can play a part in this. But if you don't do certain things, it leads up to a point where um, you kind of almost get your powers extend at this point. But at points in this game, you can't use your powers at the time. So um, at this point, Kate is at the top of the dorm that she stays at, and she is about to commit suicide. She jumps off, and everybody's just like, but time freezes. So you, as a player, you as Max, are able to go in uh, and try to save her. And depending on the things that you did, you can, and the things that you say probably is not the right answer, which will make her commit suicide. For me, as much as I try and stuff that I didn't know that could be done, Kate committed suicide and died on my play. What about you guys? Did Kate survive in your story, or did she die? Shang or Celeste, you wanna?
Um, So like you were saying, so Kate, there are different things you can do. Like you can go talk to her in her dorm room and she'll
Mhm.
ask you advice like, should I go to the police or should I look for proof? That's a major decision. I suggested that she look for proof. My
Same.
rationale for that is because the Prescotts, they practically own the town. They're wealthy, they're influential. I think most cities or small towns have families like that. My area probably does. And I was kind of worried like, okay, you're going to be dealing with a really big hornet's nest. You might want to make sure you have proof. And that's not to say, it's kind of like I want her to get the proof and then go to the police because she's, I hate to say it, like a little nobody in this town. So I want her to have as much help as possible. And then there's another point where you're at the Two Whales Diner, which is where Chloe's mom works. Kate calls. You can choose to answer or not answer. I answered the phone call, and that
Same
can also play into what happens. So you can rewind time to try to save Kate,
Hmm.
and that you have to make the right decisions. You have to say the right things. And I messed up, and Kate did commit suicide. And my jaw dropped at that point. My mouth just opened, and I was like, "Oh my God, I can't even. I should not work for a suicide hotline." Oh,
The
I'm
thing about it is, I said the right things until it asks who you're going to disappoint. And because I chose her mother, and it was just like, well, this is my reaction about my mother. Dive off. I'm like,
I felt so bad. Like I felt like a personal failure because I guess I thought I kind of put myself in Max's shoes where if that had been my friend, I was devastated. Shane, what about you I know we talked about the other decisions leading up to that point. What did you choose?
So I ended up being able to save her, and I think one of the big key things is what Ed was saying. He chose her mother. Um, the whole game, you're supposed to look, in areas and find out clues to unlock, more of the story. But there's also hints on the dialogue, what you should be choosing later on. In the Bible that you find in Kate's room, there's a postcard from her dad, and it says "Love Papa" on it, towards the bottom. So I chose her dad in that dialogue, and I did end up saving her, and I did choose, answer the phone and talk to her in the dorms. So I think that piece right there, which wasn't part of the dialogue between the two, and was separate from there that you discover, that plays into the how I think I saved her. So
and see, I didn't search her room for anything
mm,
because I felt, to me, why am I searching through her room? I'm
violating her.
invading, right? Is it
Yeah.
her privacy? That's what my logic
Oh,
thought,
Eddie.
and I thought the game was going to be like, "Hey, don't go through my stuff."
That is, you bring up a really great point, Ed. And I was listening to some other podcasts to help me like refresh my memory with a lot of stuff, and I like getting other people's opinions on things. You can walk into different students' dorm rooms and you can start reading their diaries, like you can read the Bible,
Mhm.
like Shane said, and nobody stops you and says, "Hey, what are you doing going through my stuff?"
I think there's one student that says that you're nosy for doing it, and you kind of
Mhm.
apologize. I can't remember who it was,
Dana,
but
maybe a
maybe.
I
Though
don't.
who
I-
was there a
Nate,
cheerleader or something?
Dana's a cheerleader, I
It
think.
might have been Dana.
She's the one who there's a minor choice you can make with her. I did not realize that she potentially was pregnant.
Wow.
that's something I didn't know.
Well, so this is also a game where you can look up like player stats and see what people chose. It's a minor thing. It's not. It has no bearing on the outcome of the game and the story. But it's kind of like she's not pregnant, but you can find a pregnancy test. You could talk to her about it. I never found it. And I was
Yes,
like, what?
I do remember that. Also, like the character Alyssa. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Mhm.
She's also voiced by the same people, a person that does Kate Marsh. So
Okay.
Oh,
it's interesting because in her case, you can talk to her, and then for some weird reason, Max knows that something's going to happen. So it must be something that um, she must have seen and then never, tells you. But she tells you to move out of the way, and then the ball gets thrown and then hits the window and cracks the glass.
yeah, that's in
And
the first episode. Yeah.
there's I guess two other things in different episodes where a similar thing happens. The only one I can remember is you tell her to move back from the sidewalk, and a car goes by and splashes a puddle. There's one other place too,
Oh yeah.
The
but it's
one that
weird
was
because
at
she never
the one
questions it.
the
So
one that was the one that's at the party, at the Vortex party, where she's at the pool.
is it okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
She
where
has a
Alyssa.
few instances.
Yeah, because she was just like, "Oh, you didn't tell me something about the pool or something." And then she's like, "Go ahead, go be what you need to be or something." So I didn't know any of that or and stuff. Um,
Yeah. But it was small things like that that were made it really interesting, and how she never questioned Max saying these things. Well, how did you know that? Didn't even say anything. She just was in her own little world, reading her book, and just slides over on the bench. Ball goes by, doesn't really acknowledge the fact that Max told her to move, and ball goes right past her head. So
yes. We didn't mention Frank, who is kind of the antagonist for Chloe. He's a
mm,
drug dealer who wants to get paid. Because Max asked for borrow some money, and the plan was her and Rachel were going to leave Arcadia Bay,
oh, you
and
mean
she was really
Chloe? Chloe and
So yeah,
Chloe. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
sorry.
Chloe and Rachel were really good friends after Max left, and they had actually planned to leave Arcadia Bay. And this isn't before the storm, but you can kind of determine the level of their relationship.
Yes.
Yes.
Um, So another major point in the game, we're kind of going to be jumping around, was that you are able to save Chloe's dad in this game, which actually pushes. Jumping a little bit further into some of the episodes, but
We
this
can
was a
rewind
major
time
thing.
if we need to.
Yes,
Oh, I wish.
which um you ask Max, you look at the picture, this is kind of her third power in the game, and this is when she's able to time hop at different places. So it's the time travel aspect of it. Um you go back and you're still the same age, but you're in that time's age as a kid body. So your current Max and your past Max body. And you find out that the dad gets a phone call and goes to go get the mom, and that's when you know Chloe's dad dies and everything. But you interfere by finding the keys because you find out where they at. You find time. You find the keys. You quickly throw them out. The dad tries to find them by using the alarm. Nothing happens, and you tell him, "Hey, why don't you go and take the bus?" Um, that happens, and time jumps. You go to Chloe's house and you see the dad, and you're just like, I made things better. But you, as Maxine, are part of like the Mean Girls group and everything, because Victoria's kind of acting nice to you and whatever. You go see Chloe, and you kind of find out that instead of the dad having a car accident and dying, Chloe got into a car accident, and she's kind of like comatose,
Paralyzed.
paralyzed. Yes.
Yep.
Um, some things happen, and it gets to a point where Chloe asks you to put some morphine in it and turn it up because she don't have long to live. She's giving you permission to kill her, and if you and it was just like, oh no, did any of you guys go ahead and do it or not? I was just like, I can't do this.
Shane, what did you do?
Um,
Shane.
I didn't. You know, I, not playing all the way through, I didn't realize this is going to also be another choice later on, but um, I couldn't do it. I figured just, we could reset back to, before. That was my thought, and that did happen. But I couldn't do that. I know it. If you talk to the mom and the dad, they're saying their bills are so expensive, you can't afford to eat and all this stuff, and it is a burden. Um, and I believe Chloe feels that way, that she really is a burden, and I just couldn't do that. I could be the one making that choice, even though I did make the choice already to save her dad. So
Celeste.
I looked at it as a mercy killing, so I did grant her wish. It was a very difficult decision. So when you're playing this alternative timeline, you can search around Chloe's parents' house and talk to her mom and dad. They're drowning in medical debt, and I'm going to save my soapbox for another day on how no one should have to drown in medical debt to begin with. But that broke my heart absolutely. And Chloe even insinuates that she doesn't have much longer to live anyway. Apparently, the accident was so bad that she's deteriorating. I don't know. That's a huge that is a horrible situation. And it's not like she was in a vegetative state where you can have like do not resuscitate, where that might be a slightly easier decision to make based on someone's last wishes in their will or your discussions with them. She's still alive and she's conscious, and but I looked at it as a mercy for her and her family.
It really felt like this is a replacement of a death in that family. Like something has to happen. There has to be death in that family. And if you look at it and I don't want to spoil it till we get to the end, but when you look at it, no matter what choice that you do, the mom is going to suffer both losses. So,
yep.
The third one is we kind of find out a little bit about Rachel Adams.
Amber. You're thinking of the actress, my friend.
Yeah.
Rachel Amber and some of these other girls and stuff. So we kind of find out that, we're thinking that Nathan is drugging these girls and, doing something to them. Is implemented that they're being raped by Nathan or guys or whatever. But we kind of find out, this is like kind of the major thing on what Max's powers is really used for. We kind of find out that Mark Jefferson, this is the plot twist, everybody, that he's been drugging the girls and putting them in bondage and taking pictures of them and making it feel like art. And then, if he overdoses it and kills them, he throws their body away and hides it. So we kind of find out that what happened to Kate, that she was drugged, but Mark tied her up and was taking photos. And every girl that he has is put into a book. What you don't realize is that when you see these books, you know none about it. So you're thinking fate, that with every girl that gets killed or whatever person gets killed, this is going to be the end of their story. So there is a point where to even get to that though, you have to do some detective work with some of the clues that you have gotten. And there's a section that shows some pictures where you have to connect them, everything. I picked the barn when I had to pick my 3 clues. I picked the barn because that felt like, okay, I never visit the barn, and for some reason in movies like this, a barn is always the suspicious thing that happens because it looks like no one is. It's so out of focus. Like no one is focusing on it, but it's so important to the story that when you go look in the barn, you see all the stuff that gets revealed because it's in a way it's a camouflage. It's like a fake. It's an illusion. I should say not camouflage. It's an illusion that this is just a basic barn. Nothing. Wait a minute, There's a door, and then it leads to all of that.
And did you find? And this is what I was talking about before, where I was going to say something. I think Chloe finds a article in like a treasure box or box or some sort in the barn, and it talks about bomb shelters that are all over Arcadia Bay, and that the Prescott family knows about them because they built them or something like that.
Yes.
So that leads me to believe that they built this one in the barn, and it has some connection to Mark Jefferson purchasing it or inheriting it or whatever the case is. Both parties know about this bomb shelter, and whether the dad of Nathan knows. Was it Sean? His name is, I think.
Sean Prescott.
Yeah.
Yeah. If Sean knows this or not, I don't know, but Nathan for sure, is involved. So.
And to everybody, let everybody know how we find out that it was Mark Jefferson. Max gets stabbed with a needle, but Chloe gets shot, and the camera falls in a way that when you look up and see it, it's Mark Jefferson with his glasses and his mic. Now you kind of figure like, how's that happening? Well, Mark Jefferson was texting Max and Chloe, I believe, or pretty much Max, using Nathan's phone. So he was tricking them, and he was making the anonymous messages and everything. But you kind of just like, wait a minute, how could it be Mark? He was just at the Vortex Club announcing the winner of the photography class. So how was he able to leave, get there to Chloe's favorite place, which is this kind of junkyard by a train station, or by not train station, by a train track, and was able to stop or capture Max, because they find out that at a particular point that Rachel's body is buried there. So the reveal is she actually was killed by an overdose and buried there. And it's making you think that because Rachel and Frank also had a relationship in a sense, the game was making you think that Frank killed Rachel, but it wasn't. It was Mark and everything.
Which I don't know. I think if I recall right, isn't it Nathan that overdoses Rachel, and Mark finds out about it, and that's why Mark has Nathan's phone, because he's texting them from Nathan's phone because Mark killed Nathan.
Yes, after later on we find out that Mark kills Nathan also.
Yeah.
And that's kind of like the plot twist, but then episode 5 happens, and oh boy, we're going to get into this one. But Celeste, what did you think of that moment when Mark Jefferson was revealed to be the antagonist, like the catalyst of this game?
So, as you can tell, this game takes you on many wild rides.
Yes.
that's the I'm assuming if you are listening to this episode, you already know what happens. Otherwise, we just spoiled the hell out of the game for you.
Yeah.
But I don't know if we talked about this, but just to kind of help with some perspective, Chloe has this junkyard that she hangs out at, and that's where she used to hang out with Rachel Amber, and she'd work on cars, and they just probably drink, maybe smoke some pot or something in there. That's where Rachel is buried. So it's kind of like how Shane was talking about earlier, where he's wondering how involved are the rest of the Prescotts in what Mark Jefferson is doing. I guess, like, how would you not know on your personal property that there are these lewd pictures of these underage girls? I have so many questions. Did Mark Jefferson do this at other places? Is this his fetish?
Yeah.
Where's he getting the drugs from? Where's he getting the stuff to drug the girls? I was also reading more about Nathan. He's under a lot of pressure from his dad because it's the whole family name thing, the Prescotts, and he's going to therapy. He probably has schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, something very serious. And I think Mark kind of became his friend, and he looked up to Mark as a father figure as well.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
Maybe Mark treated him better than Sean did, and he liked that.
Yes, exactly. And then Mark ends up killing him because the plan was not to kill Rachel. But I think Nathan wanted to emulate what he saw Mark doing, and he overdid it, which ended up in Rachel's death. And so Mark, I mean, that's a big deal. Mark he should get in trouble, but he's like, oh crap. Like, okay, because, well, and before the storm, we learned everybody's life is important, but Rachel's family, they're another important family. in Arcadia Bay, which would absolutely alert the authorities. So I'll just leave it at that for that coverage. Her dad's a pretty important figure in the town. Yeah, Shane, what do you want to say? I did not see that coming at all. Did y'all see that coming?
I did not. When they revealed Mark, I'm like, wait, what? Because of the way that they designed the character, they thought he was a caring teacher. Even the way that he turned down Victoria, but he had a plan for Victoria also, because we didn't know that he was a psychopath because of the way. Once again, the voice acting in this game, I would say, is kind of top notch at points, and the person playing Mark Jefferson did a great job definitely with the lines that they gave him and the way that he delivered them. They will make you think that nothing is focused on him because everything is all on Nathan. And so our focus is on him being it. So I wouldn't, it really kind of felt like this all came out from the blue. But the only hint that I go back to that things were right with Mark is when you're supposed to be going to the class, and Mark is talking to Kate, and Mark gets a phone call, and he goes to the side. Now you could go in class and continue the conversation, like continue the progress. I walked to the science class where Warren was at, and I started listening to his conversation going over and over. So who is he talking to? I'm thinking he was talking to another woman or a wife or something.
I had the same thought because Nathan was in the class, so it wasn't him. Was it Sean? Was it, I don't know, it was just like you said, was it someone in his past that they never connected to, or maybe they're gonna, I don't know, in Life is Strange 4 tell us or something. I don't know.
My conclusion is that it was Frank. He had to be talking to Frank.
Okay.
Maybe there was another drug dealer too, that was also in on it as well. I forgot what the name was, but it could have been him. Maybe he needed more drugs, or
Damien, I think.
Yeah, Damien.
But that's before the storm.
Yeah, but maybe that's who he was talking to, and we didn't know that. And maybe that's how we later on find out.
Which is funny because Damien is supposed to be is kind of, I think, is connected to or something revealed to be the devil in the system. The word Damien.
Yeah.
Because of demon.
Yeah.
Yes. But it is at that place where Chloe's getaway, her hideout. That's where she is shot by Mark Jefferson and where he drugs Max.
And it's, I don't know. For me, it's like he's grooming these people. You know, not in the way you would think normal grooming would be, but in his own way to make the perfect art piece. Along with that, like I was saying, the time travel and the photography, it's how he looks at perfect art. He's trying to create the perfect art in his eyes. So it's I don't know, it's really disturbing and interesting at the same time, just how it all comes to play. I also do know that the guy that voiced Mark, he had no idea that he was the bad guy till later on. They kept him in the dark, so they didn't want to spoil anything, and that I think that really played into him being surprised and then beefing up how I guess this guy normally acts as a bad guy for his voices. So I think it was perfect for him. So
yes. So episode 5 kind of have multiple conclusions, but it's like a conclusion upon conclusion that just drags it out. One of it is that you get Mark captured and you get Nathan captured and you win the photo contest. You go to San Francisco with your teacher, but the thing is still happening. And also at times, Max gets a nosebleed because of her powers and everything. You kind of find out that that everything is still happening. Time passes on, and you get into the lighthouse with Chloe. The storm is still happening, the tornado is still happening, and Chloe tells you, you gotta make a choice. you sacrifice the town or you sacrifice me. I'm okay of dying if this makes sure that the town doesn't get destroyed or this hurricane doesn't happen. So this is like the final choice of the game. I'm going to start with you, Shane, and then we're going to get into our reactions. What was your choice at this time? Did you save Chloe or did you save the town?
I saved the town. I I I go with the philosophy save the many. So that's what I chose. Yes, Chloe is a good friend, but even she agrees that she wants to save everyone else, including her mom, and everyone else in Arcadia Bay. So I made the hard choice of yes, I sacrificed Chloe and save the town. So
The one thing I did like when Chloe said before you make your choice, she said, even my mom even my mom should be happy with my stepdad. I think that's when Chloe kind of realized and appreciate David because that's who the mom was with. Um, and you kind of find out why he was doing it because and now I'm gonna get to you, Celeste. Stood with the family and they kicked David out to go to the hotel. Uh, because of what you think of David and what it was leading up, and you didn't realize what he was really doing. When you do that, you be like, okay, now I feel bad. Now I understand. And I think, oh, go ahead, Shay.
I was gonna say that the story, the writing, they make you want to think that everyone else is the bad guy, so that you get thrown off. And I think they really did a good job throwing you off on who actually was the bad guy. So
yes. Celeste, what was your choice?
So again, this game is a wild ride, and if you have not played it, I don't know why you're listening to this episode because we just ruined it the game for you to begin with. But
I'm saying this: still play the game
yes.
if you are just hearing this discussion because there's a lot of stuff that we cut out, and you don't get the full context of everything until you play everything and you make a choice.
I was gonna say we didn't talk about Hot Dog Man yet, so
that's an important character, very important character. There are so many there are decisions where you have to decide with. You can just choose to decide whether you want to be with believe David or Chloe. You can decide whether you want a dog to get hurt or be fine. I mean, this is a very layered game. I'd say it's about 15 hours of gameplay. If you're like me and Shane but Ed has too much integrity to do this where you explore everybody's rooms. I'm just picking. I'm just picking on you, Ed. I'm just picking on you. So I chose to save Chloe.
Okay, that's good.
It doesn't surprise me. You saved her in the alternate reality. So.
I mercy killed her in the alternate reality, and I saved her life in the real world. But I did look up what happens if you choose to save the town because I was like, I got to know what happens. Hugely different reactions, and I have to say, dang, that is one destructive tornado hurricane that it kills those people. Like, oh my god. Oh, I guess I'm just amazed that you don't find out exactly if anybody survived. I haven't played Life is Strange 2 yet, and I have not played True Colors, so I don't know if my questions will be answered, but I guess I thought, okay, come on. I mean, I know there's a lot of rubble, but there has to be one sturdy building in that whole. I guess because I live in a hurricane-prone area, but I guess if you don't, and something like that happens, the buildings might not be built to withstand that kind of storm. I don't know. What about you, Ed?
So I was trying to figure out that even when the storm happens, how did Chloe still have her car and then was able to drive off? I was like, wait a minute. This
is that what you decided to do too?
No, I killed Chloe. I saved the town.
Well, let's make it clear that Max does not kill Chloe.
Yes, I will say that. Yes. So you go back in time. You don't take the picture. you let everything happen. You fall down and you're crying as Max. And I think I think Mr. Jeff, Mark and Nathan still get captured though. I think
Mm.
I think that stuff still happens. You end up having a funeral. Kate has come back. She's alive because everything happened before all the events happen. So you see Kate, you see Warren, um, you see the mom and David. Um, you see this guy preaching and everything, but you also see this blue butterfly comes down and lands on the casket, and you smile. I think your spirit animal is right behind it. No, Frank is behind a tree, and he sees it, so he has some kind of empathy for it and everything. And you kind of realize that the blue moth in this a blue butterfly in the sense that yeah, do you still want to take a picture? Do you want to do something? But it also represented this is Chloe right here because of the blue hair.
Hmm.
So I kind of like I wrote these in our notes. I kind of had a different take, and just because of Before the Storm, but I thought the butterfly represented Max because of the time travel, which is considered the butterfly effect.
Hmm.
So that's and I think yeah, it's blue because it does match Chloe's hair, and it kind of it's Max who changes the time for Chloe. Um, Chloe, I got more of from, and this kind of goes into the other one. I'm just gonna say more of the Raven represents her with the insight in different situations that Chloe has, and um, in the Before the Storm, she has something called back talk, which kind of gives her more of her power is to influence people. Um, and but it also brings about bad omen. So could that be because of her this the storm was prevented because or came about because of the time change? And so and then also Rachel I feel is the doe in the game because it's almost like she's the spirit animal guiding them towards maybe the truth of what happened to her. So it's
Hmm.
kind of how
And
I felt.
I kind of like how they have Samuel as kind of that symbolism talking point where he says, oh, Max is telling him that I keep seeing this doe and everything in the forest, and she's like, that's your spirit animal. And Samuel's just like, my spirit animal is the squirrel.
Yep.
And he starts talking about it, and you kind of see that semblance, that connectivity because I think what I really love about Samuel in this game that you know he is this calm, caring person. He may seem a little bit weird, but
Hmm.
I love the fact that they didn't do nothing wrong with Samuel. Like they didn't try to
Yeah.
kill him, they didn't try to hurt him or anything. They really were just
He,
like Samuel is such an integral part to the story to Max because it's kind of like even though he's not guiding, he's someone who listens to Max and makes her feel
hmm
reassured when she needs to.
and
So he's a
definitely
leader in a different way. Go ahead, Shay.
definitely he's a strange character, but eccentric may be a little better word for it. But uh, yeah, he talks about the squirrels. He talks about whales dying and birds dying as these things are happening, and thinks that someone is behind it while talking to Max. So
Hmm.
there's a little maybe he knows something's afoot. Um, and also there's a lot of Native American stuff in this as well, kind of
Yes.
tying together. We see totem poles and various even like Rachel has feather earrings. There's a lot of things going on there. I don't know if you have anything else to say, but I did want to mention also the homeless lady. So
Okay. Um.
Behind Two
Well,
Whales Diner. Yeah.
yeah. We're gonna get into our thoughts, and so that's kind of the thing about Life is Strange, like we said, there's some stuff we omitted from this because I will say, go play the game so you can get a better understanding of why these events. And I think with the choices that you're going to be making in this game to get to where certain parts, it's going to really enhance the narrative for you, or it's going to make you want to be like, man, I wish I did something else, or I wish I took this other chance. Let me see who
Mm.
else played this and everything. Celeste, I'm gonna start with you because you got a lot of thoughts on it. So
Oh, yeah.
go ahead with your thoughts for Life is Strange.
So I will say Life is Strange, it is pretty linear. You can't really wander off. It's not like Breath of the Wild or Skyrim or something, but you are able to take your time and explore, read different things, to talk to different characters. Something that kind of upset me, and anytime this scenario pops up, so Kate's being called a slut for making out with all these different guys, but the guys don't have any kind of names or repercussions for taking advantage of this drunk girl. I'm assuming they were all drunk as well. I guess whenever that happens, I notice it's usually the woman who gets all these derogatory names, but the dudes, no consequences. They're not looked down upon, and it enrages me. It's kind of like if a woman gets pregnant and she didn't want to, it's like, oh, well, she should have kept her legs closed. And my response to that is, well, why didn't he keep his pants zipped? Because she's not a sponge. She's not reproducing asexually. Just, that's something that just makes me so mad. And Kate's family's kind of shaming her. So I had so many thoughts on that because I grew up in a Catholic area. I went to Catholic school, and sexuality was a huge topic, and wait till you're married and all these things. And, I can respect people's moral decisions. I guess it just made me think how the women are always looked down upon in those scenarios while the men kind of get away scot-free. Usually. I know there are exceptions. That just kind of stood out to me a lot, especially with the teenage years. And God, I'll get off that. That made me so mad for Kate. So mad for her. So I like Shane brought up, I also love the homeless lady behind the Two Whales diner because she knows what's going on in town. She might be homeless, but she is fully aware of the news.
Mm-hmm.
So can I tell you, I've never met her in the game. Did not know that.
You're missing out.
Yeah, because there's theories that she is a older version of Max, because she's eating the same cereal as Max and Chloe did when they were younger. And she kind of looks like Max and has some similar thoughts that Max has. Now, doesn't mean that she is, but the thing she says is interesting to listen to, and
Okay.
trying to put together that the time travel thing could still be happening.
Yeah, she's a good character. She enriches the game.
And what would be really interesting is a future game incorporated her and Max is older in the game. Would be kind of cool.
That would be awesome.
Life is Strange 17 or whatever the case is.
We're all still around for Life is Strange.
Way after the storm.
Way after the storm. Shane, I really appreciate that you brought up the butterfly because that's a motif used in the game. And so I like to look up what animals symbolize, like you do. And butterflies can also symbolize rebirth, which I think ties into Max's ability to rewind time, give yourself another chance. Usually, some scenarios you can't rewind time. The butterfly also appears whenever an action will have consequences. And we keep talking about the butterfly effect. I think we're taking for granted that everybody knows what it is, but in case you are not aware, it means even small changes can affect large-scale events. There's like this theory in chaos theory that a butterfly is flapping its wings, as small as that is, it can lead to like a bigger storm or something like that.
It can lead to change, bigger change. So.
Yes. Yep. I'm not a physicist, but so I hope I did not mess that up. And like Shane, again, like with you're bringing up what Samuel talked about, there are all these strange weather events, like there's snow during hot weather, there's an eclipse, there are beached whales. It's like a sci-fi horror. And I have to wonder, okay, so if you choose to sacrifice Chloe and save the town, the storm does not happen. But if you choose to save Chloe and sacrifice the town, the storm happens. So it's just, okay, a lot of people think the storm is tied to Rachel Amber. Did she want Chloe to be with her in death, and that was going to put her to rest and not release this chaotic storm if she is the one responsible for it? I don't know. I don't know. What do y'all think?
I didn't make that connection. I think when Rachel was killed, that was it. I think the storm was just thrown in to have some kind of connection to Max's powers. One thing has to equal another thing. So the story had to happen because of Max using playing with time and stuff. So alternating different things. What would have happened what if Max just alternated stuff and it was on the day that it was going to be a storm or anything? What would happen? Because why would we get this storm and Max doesn't know nothing about the snow that's falling, like on the second day?
Mm-hmm.
The weird weather changes and stuff should have gave indication that, I shouldn't have fooled with time at all.
Shane, do you think anything of it? Am I far reaching right here with that?
I honestly, I'm not sure because there's so much going on in this story that they always come back and focus on the storm, and I feel like the butterfly, as you just mentioned, it means rebirth. I kind of feel like as combining both of your theories, and I think the butterfly with the rebirth effect, and it connecting to the time travel thing, instead of rebirth, it kind of is destroying things. It's destructive, and then from that destruction, Phoenix rises from the ashes, and it starts the whole cycle again. So this is just one story that you choose if either one flap of the butterfly wing is Chloe, kills her, or there's multiple butterflies and it kills the whole town. Now, I don't know. It just feels like it's just one story that happens and it loops, and once it's gone, it starts again. So it's a I want to say a rebirth of everything, that of the destruction, of the chaos, and new people will come about because of that. So
I love that.
Well, Celeste, do you have any more? Shane, I'm gonna get to you, then I'm gonna give my thoughts, and then we're gonna yeah, we'll get further on. Any more thoughts, Celeste?
I think it's a situation where it's suspension of disbelief. You just accept the story as it is, right? You just go with it. You just take what's happening for what it is.
Yes. Shane, any thoughts?
I just want to say that I love the game. The music is beautiful. I love how they connect story and the items in the environment to the story to make it or enhance it more. And I feel it's really relatable. Everyone has things that have happened in their lives that can relate somehow to someone in the story, can help people, or make them think differently on something. So I hope everyone tries this game. That's all I want to say. That try the game. And I know some of you guys haven't played like Life is Strange 2 and True Colors, or even the Captain Spirit short. But all
Which
of them.
Which is funny because I played the Captain Spirit short when they released it at the E3 when they showed it.
Yeah. So all those somehow in some way connect to Arcadia Bay. Even if it's not directly, there's stuff in there, and I encourage you to play them and discover what those are. So
for me, I feel like episode 5 was too long. I really feel like they lost what they could have really ended this on a certain note and called it a day, but it dragged on and on and on. It was just like you're trying to get to a point And when they get to the final point of what it is, I'm like, you didn't really need to do any of this. Part of this could have been cut off. Like I mentioned earlier, it felt a little heavy rainish at times, which is not bad. I kind of felt like Kate's storyline was a little bit muddy um, in this first playthrough. Is because you would think that, you would at least get time to investigate to find some proof on Nathan to present it. And it just really felt like you didn't really get any time to do any of that. If you're going to bring this little story plot as, into the game, give me some time to explore, to find more about Nathan. Just don't kill Kate off or, give you this not give you the option to really save Kate by doing some real investigation. Why am I able to investigate everything else about every other character, but I'm not able to? I was able to investigate Victoria when Dana thought that Dana's roommate thought the girl that Dana was sneaking on her girlfriend. I was able to invest that and present evidence, and that fixed that situation and everything. Um, I was able to like wipe the wipe the website line, but I didn't get to do more than that. It's just like let me investigate. Give me some time so I could do it. No, no investigation. We're gonna kill her off like that. We're gonna Final Fantasy sever her real quick, and it's just like
So
you should you should have gave me at least to episode 4 before the Vortex party. I have connected enough evidence. Now I could present it to Kate and we could go and do something
mhm.
which allowed me to be able to save her. If I didn't have enough evidence and we still had to go to the police and the police just didn't believe it or I didn't have enough, then let Kate run off. You go search for Kate and you find out that she's about to kill herself.
I do know
Like flesh it out more. Go ahead.
I do know that some hidden files, audio files, are found for Nathan, um, and I think that they maybe changed some of the dialogue and story because they wanted you to think Nathan was the one
Mm-hmm.
who was behind most of the what was happening. And I think one of the audio files was Nathan was yelling that he knew that a storm was coming. So him and his father knew about it, and that it connected to those bomb shelters that they had built um, all around Arcadia because the family knew about it, along with the homeless lady. So there's just a lot of theories and a lot of things that probably could have been different. And I know, excuse me, uh, that um, all the voice actors, um, some of the dialogues mismatched because they weren't in the same room when they were doing the voice acting. So some of
Mm.
the stuff doesn't entirely make sense. But I think maybe they had different voice recordings and they could potentially change how the story would go over the 5 episodes. And that's a challenge that you have when you create a game over a course of time when there's people wanting to either improve the story or somehow make the plot holes disappear. So maybe that's why that happened. Um, and to your point, I think, yeah, I would have liked that option, but I don't think the people making this knew how well this was going to be when they
Mm.
were making it, and I'm sure if they redid it in a different way, they probably have tons of different choices that we could choose. So
Mhm.
Uh, Last but not least for me, I was having audio issues at time. So when it was getting close to the end and they were doing like kind of montage and stuff or different clips, music was supposed to play, but there was no music. And I was playing the remaster version. So
yeah,
I don't know if there was licensing issues or what, but I was just like, this they should have felt this with something because in parts of the game you can hear other music and like cutscenes and stuff. You can hear stuff, but it throws everything off when you got almost a 3 minute ending to your episode and there's no music.
did you go back to see if the original had music in that spot at all, or
Yes, Yes,
Okay.
the original one has music in it.
Yeah, then it definitely has to be a licensing issue, which kind of stinks. I know before I even started the podcast today, I asked Alexa to play Life is Strange music, and there's not much choice of music on there for Life is Strange. And even the CD's hard to get from the original, so might have a lot to do with licensing.
Okay. So, uh, but everybody, we have come to the end. Now, we gotta ask, do we recommend playing Life is Strange? Shane.
Absolutely, you have to play it. If you don't like it,
So,
you'll still like it.
Well, I wasn't thinking that you were going to say anything else since you were like, can I please be on your Life is Strange episode? So
Celeste.
you have to play this game. I don't care if you're a teenager, a young adult, an older person. I know it takes place in high school, but yes, there are some high school type dramas going on, but there's mystery there. Like we said with the trigger warnings, there are some very dark topics covered in this game. The storytelling is fantastic. I highly recommend this game.
Yeah, I also recommend this game. I say do play Life is Strange. I think the narrative is really strong. There is some twists and turns and everything. And if you don't feel like playing it, I don't think you get the same feeling if you're just watching it. I don't think it does justice just watching this game.
Yeah.
You
Mhm.
really got to play it because you got to make that choice and let that choice affect you. And I think when we make moral choices in games like that make the enjoyment better. So I do recommend it, and that's going to be it, everybody. Now we do have Life is Strange 2 coming, and we have Beyond the Storm. But you can hear Beyond the Storm if you are a Patreon supporter. That episode will come out a little bit later. We have another guest that will be joining us on that discussion. But for our October game that we are playing, it's going to be Life is Strange 2. In November, we are doing Life is Strange 3. And for December, we are playing Detroit's Become Human.
All good
I am
games.
I am excited for Detroit Become Human because that is a conversation that it's just going to be like this may be a two-parter because it's huge. And that game, when I tell you the strong narrative in that game and the choices really matter, they matter.
Hey Ed, I was gonna ask you. You played the remastered versus the old one. How much better are the visuals? Is there much difference or?
It's really cleaner in the remaster. I will
Okay.
say that. Because I played it on Series X, the frame rate was a little bit faster also.
Hmm.
Um it still looks like the original one, but it's the color stands out more. It doesn't look muddy or anything like that. It's
Okay.
more cleaned up for it. So
Because
you could you could play
I
either or to get the story, but
okay.
for like graphical wise to look at it, you can play the remaster if you
Okay.
want.
Because I was gonna say the visual style didn't really offend me or anything, but a lot of
Mhm.
people are saying it looks like a PS2 character inside a PS3 world, which I get it, but it definitely still the story trumps everything on there and the music,
Mhm.
and it that makes it much more enjoyable, regardless of what you think about the art. So
Yes. So with that, everybody, I think we're gonna call that a wrap. So that's where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Fairy Crypt, and I'm also with Another Zelda Podcast, and you can find that at anotherzeldapodcast.com.
Shane, where can we find you?
you can find me mostly on Twitter at Still Saying Shane, and also you can find me at Another Zelda Podcast and Boss Rush Network for my articles and podcasts.
You guys can find me on Twitter at that vertical and on Instagram. You can also check me out on Discord. Check out our YouTube page at Boss Rush Network for more Talk the Walk episodes and other podcast content. And also check us out at bossrush.net for more of our written content, reviews, how to's, and more. Me and Corey had and Stephanie did a response to the Nintendo Direct. And let me tell you, Tears of the Kingdom. The theories and the expectations are out there. So I don't know if another Zelda podcast has recorded anything about that, but if they have, do go check it out. I am excited to hear
We have an
that
article.
discussion.
Yep, we do have an article.
Yes. So with that, everybody, have a great week, have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time on Talk the Walk. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.